Hello guys, good afternoon for another quick market review. Today's date is September 10th. So today's morning session was relatively choppy, and the afternoon session was more so. The real move occurred. Let's see what happened today intraday, and let's read the order flow, let's read the annotations and all of that. I took a short, which was a small loss, but then it panned out, and I'll go over that real quick as well, why I executed, why I rolled my stop loss and all that. So here's the price action. This is the overnight price action here, London session, pre-market, and New York open, New York afternoon. So let's dive in. So here this is 9:30, and at 9:30 what I was looking for mainly was potential sell side targets and buy side targets, as we were rating buy sides, digging too much towards buy side and into daily fair value gap, daily CB. I was more so concerned about the relative equal lows, which was here. This low is relative to this low, which is at 567. So I thought maybe Nasdaq could drop down there once it forms the sell model. Also, I was mentioning the daily fair value gap CE, so I'm going to put that in the chart as well. Here, as you guys can see, New York session opened right at the end, right at the daily fair value gap CE. So let's read the market. So before New York open, during pre-market, there's this relative equal lows which ran out. South side that was purged. Relative equal lows here as well. Ran that high, and at New York open, it Judas below south side and ran up into deep into the daily fair value gap CE, a bit above the CE. I was considering that as mohawks on the higher time frame. And I let PA do its thing. I still did not have any sell side target, nor it formed a sell model here anyways. The only thing I had was, again, these lows, 566, 567. So the market rallied, then dumped here, came all the way up into the first fair value gap here of the New York session, dumped again. So basically I used this as an indication that market wants to go lower. Also, it left equal lows here, which is another indication for me to go short. Now we have, at least for scalping, have high probability targets, and that was enough for me to trigger the short. So I see the bodies were respecting the first fair value gap. This is also inversion fair value gap after the buy side purge. Retest of the inversion, it displaced one more time, so I used that displacement as my entry, and the bodies were initially respecting that fair value gap, sold off, swept the south side. That's the ugly part. It ended up being an S&D. Swept the south side, rejected it, displaced higher, and swept the buy side. Basically engineered liquidity at the buy side. Now we have relative equal highs on the buy side and relative equal lows on the sell side. And this was a formation of SMT divergence as well. So that buy side rate formed an SMT divergence along with the relative equal low, the equal highs, and it basically turtle souped and sold off down into the relative equal highs. The relative equal lows. Besides turtle soup over there was no setup for me. Maybe the first fair value gap could have been used. About it after the first loss, I did not take anything. And the reason I moved my stop loss was because it dropped down below the sell side. I wanted to see displacement here and didn't displace, thus I reduced my risk, and that's why I used this high as my rolled stop loss. So it dropped down to the equal lows, swept the equal lows, kind of chopped here, deep retracement into the first fair value gap again. There's nothing much going on in this price action. It was just time decay for my liking. The only thing I could say is this is another scalp. If you want to scalp it, you can do it. BPR, relative equal lows, boom, it tagged that. And basically it was choppy here. The sell side was taken. After that, south side was ruptured. There's a V shape here. Market displays above the bearish order block, formed a breaker block over there. So I'm neglecting this area. I'm not looking at it, okay? So it displaced above the OB. Here's a displacement. That triggers a buy model, algorithmically speaking, and it's going to reprice up into the buy side, right? Well, buy side, we have these highs, we have this high, and we have relative equal highs. I thought it could go up to the relative equal highs, but it ended up being a turtle soup at the singular high, which is also the CE of the first fair value gap of the New York session. This is a tool that I started using this week, so I'm not going to talk about it that much. But if you're wondering why the first fair value gap of the New York session is important, I suggest you watching the ICT's 2024 mentorship. He introduced us basically. So it came up to the range EQ of the first fair value gap and turtle soup the high, rejected here, formed a trap longs right here. It flipped it. Oh, come on. Once it flipped it, there's the CIBI IFED up there. If you missed that move, there is also a breaker block here. Could have been used as well. So it dropped fastly, low resistance run, another CIBI here, the order flow. It's going for the south side I mentioned earlier, the 15-minute lows, relative equal lows. It didn't tag it. The reason for that is two things. First of all, the morning session high was left relatively equal. If it swept it, I think this could have taken, the price could have been traded down into the south side. It didn't do it because of the relatively equal highs. And also ES had the same target down here, and ES swept that low, which means now we have a higher time frame SMT divergence here. So here, south side was digged down one more time, right here, and then price broke out or displaced above the order block right there. This is now this now becomes a breaker block. The breaker block was used. Here's the displacement, by the way. The displacement came late, but it's there, right here. It's small, but it is there. Displacement above a bearish breaker means algorithmically market is turning bullish. So the breaker was used there. It swept the low one more time here, which means if market reprices higher again above this high, forms a new breaker block. A displacement, this fair value gap. This fair value gap is not an entry for me personally. So flip the range EQ. We have range EQ right there. Flip the range EQ, displaced above it. That means market is going for buy side. Now it's confirmed. Here, swept the lows. Violated the breaker. Violated the bearish order block. Formed a bullish LB. This could be used. Then it ran all the way up here. Now at that point, I'm looking at the relative equal highs from morning session. Let me just delete all of this nonsense. So here's the displacement. In that displacement, in that fair value gap, it swept the lows again. This is a manipulation on the lower time frame. Basically, the bodies are telling the story, right? And after that sweep, market essentially violated this high and displaced. So again, I am disregarding this PA here, this one right there. I'm disregarding it. Now we have a bullish breaker block and a displacement. This is an entry for me. This is basically a unicorn. It's a late entry, but it's still valid. If you were to execute on that and target the AM session high, relative equal highs, this is what you do. You're entering the fair value gap and you put your stop loss below the breaker block. Or if you can have bigger risk, you can use the order block. Okay, that would be safer. 24 points loss, 24 point risk to make 55, decent 2.27 R, or with here almost 4 R. So use that low, ran higher, daily fair value gap CE was used, and it ran the buy stops, the morning session high. This is also the 930, the first fair value gap. First fair value gap low was used as well. And the rest was choppy. But there's nothing going on after the displacement above the buy side. So this PA, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happened there, okay? It's basically the market was done after that. And if you think about it, from the SMT highs all the way down here, 227 handles, and once the market turns bullish, the algorithm turns bullish right here, all the way up here, almost 100 points. So the market moved 400 handles in total both ways. So the original consolidation was taken out, and it just started chopping above it. Pretty eventful session. I would say pretty eventful afternoon session, not the morning session, but it's what it is. Tomorrow's CPI. Tomorrow is going to be the real move. I believe the annual glow, which was inefficiently delivered, is the weekly objective, either tomorrow or Thursday. I would expect price going down there to try to reach down there. I'm still considering the whole price action since Monday as a weekly wick on the weekly time frame. But we'll see. Anything can change. Anything can happen with CPI number. So we'll see. So right now, though, that's what I'm thinking. I think the whole buy side rally will get faded either tomorrow or Thursday. Okay. I would still keep the daily fair value gap or the daily inversion fair value gap low, high, and it's CE on the chart, because I'm not sure what's going to happen with CPI. We could just go for one more time buy side, and that could be the daily inversion fair value gap high. That could be a manipulation, and then we could actually form a sell model later on. So yeah, hopefully you guys find this insightful. Also, one more thing, the sell sign from today, which was not engaged, the market basically engineered or built more sell side liquidity here. Okay, please keep these levels on your charts tomorrow. One of them is 582, relatively equal lows, and the other one is 566. Keep both of them on the chart. Once it loses those ones, the next target will be right here, NWOG low, which is 378, and I would expect a breakout below that before the weekly candle closes. Okay, for now, don't go against the grain. Okay, if there's no market maker sell model, there's no reason to go short. I had my reasons here, ended up being an SMD. It's what it is, small loss, I'll take it and move on. Alright, anyways, hope you guys find this insightful. I'll talk to you tomorrow in the live stream. I'll be live at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay safe, have a great night.